Okay, now you've seen the lab that I do. Of course, it's the first one on this series of doing tracks and that based on what I've said on my Instagram page and things like that. So let's get stuck into it then. So this is the Ferrari F2004, Michael Schumacher's fifth World Championship winning car. And I've decided to do it at Silverstone, the home of motor racing. So let's crack on with it and see what we can do from this. So here we go then. So going into start the lab for itself. So I should say that the computer does this to begin with. And I'm going to stop it here because as you just saw there, going into the, you break in between the 100-meter and 50-meter boards. So you break in between now, but as you saw, break down to third gear. I'm telling you this third gear because I've bloody done it. And going into that corner, you just saw the rear end start to move and lose it a little bit. That's not ideal because, of course, at the time you're trying to lift off the brake, you want to try and put the throttle down at the same time, which means, of course, with the traction control side of things, you are going to wiggle a little bit, which isn't ideal. Okay, it's not great at all. So again, if I was to do that, come to brake a little bit earlier, let the car roll into the corner, so I'll put the throttle down ever so slightly, then be able to get that better traction coming out of the corner. But as you can see here, coming into our next one there, I should have gone in a lot tighter and that's all because of what I didn't do beforehand. So I did brake where I should have braked because of the racing line, apex, everything else. Where I didn't brake slightly earlier, I've lost that momentum. And of course, that rear instability, losing that momentum going through here. So you can see going through here now, we're just fighting the car ever so much going into this, which isn't ideal. It's not great. But with this as well, having to change gear quite quickly in order to, so that was coming to third into then fourth and fifth straight up again onto the main Sir Lewis Hamilton straight. It's not ideal. It's not great. Because you're losing time throughout this stage. But of course, we start to make up time because we're able to get into seventh gear that much quicker. So here we go, coming into it, onto the straight now. Past start finish line. Coming into hit seventh gear there. And that's perfect. We want to be on that curb. Just the car over, as you can see here, it is on the curb. It is pretty much spot on for what we're looking at when it comes to not breaking track limits. It's spot on. It's perfect. It's ideal. Okay, so coming on now, going on with it. So coming into here, going from seventh down to third, into the corner very nicely. But this is where, unfortunately, because again, as they're coming into third, before that stage, you can apply the throttle, but then you have to brake again straight away. So normally with these older cars, you go down into second, then go in and start to apply the throttle again. I stuck with the modern F1 way of doing this and stayed in third. Reason being is because, of course, on the newer F1 games, of course, this is a game, not real life. You can go down to third and go into that corner in third, be able to apply the throttle a little bit, get the power down a bit, then quickly change into fourth and start going off from there. Then fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh, then potentially down the end of the straight eighth before you have to brake and go into the corners again. With this, as you saw there, just starting to lose that rear end again because I stayed in third gear whilst trying to apply that throttle. So to try and come out of that, I did go into fourth gear and get a little wobble there. So went to fourth, went to fifth, perfectly cut the corner there onto the straight. Coming flying down here into seventh gear. And you saw there, just braking ever so slightly to pass 100-meter board. So we got to around about, I'm doing this finger on here, but we got to about here when we start applying the brake, which is fine. That's good. But as you'll see as this goes on, far too wide going in. Far too wide going in. It's far too wide. So again, where I showed you where I brake before, I would brake at least a few meters beforehand, actually, because we want to be able to get down to fourth in this corner, get in there nice and early, try and glide it into there, into this corner, so then we can just go bang, 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 done, in corner, apply a bit of throttle, into the next corner, straight off again. That's what we want to do. Okay, and that's what I want to do. So next time, brake a few meters beforehand. So again, straight into it, probably a bit of throttle. The car just loses its rear end ever so slightly because of being in fourth gear. So remember, modern F1 games, modern cars, you can actually keep it in fourth there and the rear end will stick with you. Whereas older cars don't. Okay, so coming into this corner, I am away from the apex. So really should be needing a lot more, but being able to put the foot down now in 4th, 5th, 6th, starting to blast down international straight into 7th, and coming. Love this camera angle, love this shot, absolutely amazing. But as you'll see going through, too wide, far too wide. Of course, in modern F1 games and modern F1, you can keep your foot flat down and be able to go through that corner perfectly into the international pit straight. Brilliant. Older cars, no. You actually have to lift off the throttle ever so slightly so the speed can come down a little bit. And as you go into the corner, you can put your foot down again and get that power down. Yes, you lose about 15 miles an hour by doing that, but it means you've got a stable car. But as you'll find out with this, where I wasn't in so tight into the corner, I lost the rear end. So by going in a bit tighter, there we go, going in a bit tighter into that corner, you're able to then have that perfect line for it and be able to have that car that grips, that has that traction, be able to keep that speed going into that corner and coming onto this complex now, which after that, put back down again into 7th, heading into Beckett's Chapel in this complex. So again, nice entry in the corner. That is bad. That is shocking. Really, that should be a lot tighter into that apex, because what you'll see here is that as we play on, I'm having to I'm not able to put our throttle down all the way. Okay, so in going into that, I'm in 4th. Okay, and what I should be able to do is just go around into that corner a little bit more tighter to that curb and be able to put the foot down into 5th, onto straight into 6th. By me not being able to put that down fully, I'm losing time. Okay, possibly about 3-4 tenths per second, which to us doesn't sound like a lot, but in F1 terms, that's the difference between pole position and possibly 10th, especially a track like Silverstone. So it's that difference, isn't it, that we have to be mindful of, and what I have to be mindful of. So as I said, I'm very critical of myself. Job and this is not a good combination. But as you can see, going into the straight now, into 7th, screaming V10 engine. And we're coming up now to Chapel, 50-meter board braking. Okay, so 50-meter board, you see in the F1 movie with Sonny Hayes. Great film, by the way. 50-meter board, slam on the brake, get it down to as many gears as you want to get into that corner. I'm using this still because I've got it here. And then get into that corner as much as you can. You want to try and hit that apex on the inside so you can get that nice glide out onto the side there without breaking track limits. But as you'll see here, I miss the apex. I miss the apex. That is bad. That is shocking. So really, yes, brake at 50-meter board. But for me, I would actually like to brake a little bit earlier, because with that, I'm going to use my steering wheel again here, which you can't see. So I could turn in a bit more earlier. Okay, hit the apex, hit that corner ever so slightly more, and then it allowed me to drift out a little bit more, or a little bit less than we're about to, avoid track limits, and then put my foot down, going up to 6th, 7th, before I hit the final couple of corners. Okay, because as you'll see here, back onto the nose cone cam, you can see how far off the car is when it comes to this part of the track. You can see how far it is. It's too far over. I am just about width, probably, from doing track limits. Okay, so I've just about got away with it. So, as I said before, by me braking a little bit, about a meter or so before the 50-meter board, get down to 5th, release the brake a bit, going into that corner, applying the throttle ever so slowly, be able to get into that corner nice and tight, hitting that apex, be able to push back out, or be able to move back out, sorry, and rather than being in this position, it will be more so the middle of the car is here. Okay, so it's on that curb, and this line is smack bang in the middle. Okay, that's what we want. Okay, I didn't do that, so that's shockingly bad. But now coming into the final corners, just after the 100-meter board, again braking into the corner, losing the rear again, ever so slightly with that rear instability. The same as the beginning of the lap. Lost it a bit more there because of that rear instability. Okay, and again, it's because of those two corners before. 100-meter braking point, or 100-meter braking board, got it spot on this time. But as you saw, rear instability. Okay, it's not great. It's not ideal. So again, thinking about the way of changing gears, applying throttle, that sort of thing. Okay, again, new F1, you can do that. A lot more stable. Older F1 can't do that. Okay, well, through the final corner, not international, this was Sir Lewis Hamilton straight and across the line. That was a 1:32.9 that lap was. Now, to compare that to modern F1 games, so F122 onwards, I do have all my lap times that I record on my phone. So here we go there. If I go a bit more like that, there we go. So all my lap times I record on my phone. Once I've done them, it makes it a bit more easier to keep note of and keep track of what I do. Okay, so where are we? Britain for Silverstone. So F122. So what I've just done here on F1 2017, good game, Codemasters. F122 is crap. Sorry. So with Silverstone, F122, a 1:30 dead. Okay, so already comparing to 2004, and of course a different track layout here, of course, 2.9 seconds faster. Okay, so that's good. F123, 1:27.8. Amazing, brilliant. 4.1 seconds faster. Again, new regulations, new engines, a lot faster. It's amazing. F124 or 1:28.7. Of course, as you start to get into F124, F125, they naturally start to make the car style with the updates. Because with F125, which I didn't actually write on the phone, but I actually remember this one, it was a 1:31.5, which F125 is naturally 2 seconds slower than its predecessor. So you kind of see where the differences are. But with this, as an example, and having it like this with this as well, using an older game to begin with, it just shows you that you can use older cars and classic cars in modern F1 games and modern tracks, which you can still achieve the same times, but also the same speeds as you would do in modern day Formula One. But there we go. That's the magic. As I said, I'm not a professional esports player. I'm not a content creator that plays F1 games for hours and hours and hours on end. I'm just someone here who works as a teacher, combining my passion, or both passions of teaching and Formula One into one. Okay, and this is the first time I've probably done to publish it online, to be very analytical of myself, which I am very analytical of myself, very self-critical, as you'll find out in future videos. So next one I think I'll do, because we've got Las Vegas next weekend, so I think that'll be the next one, which I have pre-done. I just need to do this side to it essentially, but hopefully you've enjoyed watching this, and pop over to the Instagram page for a couple of extra posts on there for looking at how things are done as such, because this one was done on the Xbox, not on the PC. We'll start to go through the differences between using the steering wheel with F1 games, but also using the controller as well, because there is a key difference between them when it comes to setting lap times and the control and everything else. Okay, but thank you for watching this first one. That was quite nerve-wracking doing that. The end button too early there. So we'll see you next time. I hope you enjoyed watching this first one. We'll see you with the Vegas upload. So we'll see you then.